It's the Masked Wrestling Fan here. Uh, a question was raised by Facebook Mike, a gentleman named Mike, who contacted Mike Messier, who was so upset about a lot of things in wrestling. He was wafting on this question. He passed the question on to me. I said, Mike, let me handle this one. This is my level of expertise. So, with Messier's permission, I want to take this one on. Question was, can you tell some jobber stories, some squash guy stories? Now, Al Snow, some of you might know, has said that jobber term is actually guys that you might have seen on Georgia Championship Wrestling, TBS, just bums, just guys they brought in just to do a job, get paid for television matches, just to lose on a Saturday morning WWF or old school wrestling territory. So some people have kind of appropriated that term for jobbers or doing a job and so forth. But if the question was, what do you think of guys like Barry Horowitz? What do you think of guys like Pete Sanchez or Baron Mikhail Sakula, who was once actually a main event wrestler and got demoted, so to speak, but still had gainful employment from Capital Wrestling? Now, the person I'd like to speak on, tell a personal anecdote, is Special Delivery Jones, SD Special Delivery Jones. No longer with us, but when he was, I'm going to have a drink of my beverage just to warm up a little. It's hard to drink with this. Wait a second. My protein drink is kind of cloudy right now. I can't get anything out of that straw, but I'll get to that later. Special Delivery Jones. I had seen the young man wrestle. Matter of fact, I had seen Special Delivery Jones wrestle in the very first live wrestling match I'd ever seen at the Capitol Center in Landover, Maryland. Now, some of you might know this venue for Heavy Metal Parking Lot, a film starring Judas Priest fans getting drunk, high, and all types of things in a parking lot before seeing Judas Priest. Now then, I did not see that goddamn Judas Priest concert. What I saw was a wrestling match highlighted by Blackjack Mulligan in a Texas death match against Andre the Giant. Bob Backlund defended the WWF title against Playboy Buddy Rose, which went to about 33 minutes. About 29 of those minutes was a fucking chicken wing or a hammerlock used by Backlund on Buddy Rose. And the other 4 minutes was Buddy Rose complaining about his weight. And there was a tag team, Mr. Fuji and Mr. Sato, 2 out of 3 falls against the Strongbow brothers. But the first match of the show was Special Delivery Jones wrestling, who really was a job guy, some guy who was a job guy. And the referee was very, believe it or not, seemingly racist against SD Jones. Took great pride in checking SD Jones, his knee pads, his trunks, even reaching into his trunks. And the crowd did not appreciate the antics of the referee. I just saw a plastic spoon fall off my counter for no apparent reason, so there must be ghosts in this place. The next situation we had was I saw Special Delivery Jones and Rocky Johnson tag team match defeat Crippler Ray Stevens and Buddy Rose, the same Capitol Center, on it was actually a Valentine's Day show. Now, the next thing I saw was SD Jones, Tony Atlas, and Rocky Johnson defeat all 3 Wild Samoans. Now, this was getting interesting because at the Capitol Center, they actually called Rocky Johnson and SD Jones the Soul Patrol when they wrestled Buddy Rose and Crippler Stevens. Now, a few months later, when Johnson Jones teamed up with Tony Atlas, who was new to the WWF at that time, or just coming back for a few years' absence, they somehow started calling Johnson and Atlas the Soul Patrol, and SD was left out. And when the Wild Samoans lost the tag team title to Johnson and Atlas, SD was left out. And I started to notice that Special Delivery Jones, who was always a kind of a main event guy, was suddenly at the short end of the stick. Basically, he started losing matches each and every week on WWF Wrestling. First, it would be to an Ivan Koloff. Then it would be to a Don Kernoodle, who was there for a cup of coffee. Then he would lose to, say, a Big John Studd. And then he would lose to Stevens. And then he would lose and lose and lose. Ivan Koloff, did I mention him? All these guys would beat S.D. Jones. I was a fan of S.D. Jones, and I counted 11 Saturday mornings in a row of S.D. Jones losing matches cleanly on television, and I had no idea what the hell was happening to one of my favorite wrestlers, Special Delivery Jones. I was so distraught. I started to count the weeks of S.D. Jones losing matches, and I thought he was in a slump. I thought it was maybe I could do something to help if I wrote a letter with my little masked face at the time. How could I help S.D. Jones win a goddamn wrestling match? And I had no idea. Okay? Now then, finally, Special Delivery Jones won a match on Saturday Morning Wrestling. You want to know what happened? He was wrestling the Intercontinental Champion, Don Magnificent Morocco. Morocco put S.D. Jones up in the corner with his knees hooked on the top rope and started kicking him and kicking and kicking and kicking him. The referee had no choice but to count to 5. Morocco did not break on the 5. And S.D. Jones won the damn match by disqualification, only to allow Rocky Showman Johnson to come rushing into the ring and help him out. Now, the thing that I'm so distraught about is Jones didn't even get a pin on somebody. Didn't even pin Charlie Fulton or some such thing. So I saw one of my favorite wrestlers get dropped from the main event scene, okay, becoming a jobber in front of my very eyes, and it made me very distraught. That's the anatomy of a jobber. So Mike, out there, there's your video about jobbers.